What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're doing well. Today, we've got an interesting news story, but before I start into that, I want to thank you all for dominating, clicking that like button, and leaving comments on these videos because we're actually gaining a little bit of traction again on YouTube. I didn't think that day would ever come, and it's because of 100% because of all of your engagement in the video, so thank you. Now, I covered Doctor Who the other day. In fact, just covering in general that the show does have some woke-ish elements. The cast and crew definitely has plenty of woke characters in it. And, well, audiences are rejecting the show. Now, the prevailing narrative up until this point was just that, people don't like women. So that's why the Doctor Who run, the new Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who isn't doing so well. But I don't think that's it. I actually think it's more complex than that. I think that there are just fundamental problems with the show. Audiences don't like being preached at, but you got to remember that some significant chunk of the Doctor Who audience probably doesn't feel like they're being preached at. They probably agree with the things that they're being said and that they like that wokeness is being injected into their television shows. So it's not everybody that doesn't like that type of thing. But I reported the other day about historically low audience scores for Doctor Who season 12. And guess what? Guess what Rotten Tomatoes did? They deleted all the audience scores. That's right. Just like they did with Captain Marvel a year ago, they have now done that again to defend another woman. This time is Jodie Whittaker. After seeing the review scores, the audience scores, I think I saw them as low as 13%. I'm actually looking. 39%. It was 39% when I made my video a couple of days ago. And now what do you think it's at? Well, it's at 7%. 7%. And that's after deleting all of the show, after deleting all of the comments or user reviews. You see here, as pointed out by Vera Dark, Rotten Tomatoes removed all of the Doctor Who audience ratings, but now the audience score is at 8%. Well, now it's at 7%. And if we look at what is really great screenshot here by Sheila Aliens, I think I've mentioned her before. I should probably give her a follow, huh? She's got a nice time lapse here of, you can see the scores went to 0, then back up to 95%. Now more reviews, all these screenshots coming in after deleting and resurfacing them. You have audience scores coming in at all 5. January 4th, more reviews trickling in, trying to manage all of that. Then January 6th, more reviews popping in here. And then eventually January 8th, January 9th. This is all via the Wayback Machine. Then January 12th, you see, which was yesterday, they quietly deleted all of the user reviews. They didn't think people would notice. And now, guess what? I'm covering this video. I'm covering it. And I'm hoping that if you're watching this video, that you'll help share it too. Because it feels like Rotten Tomatoes is one of the most corrupt review websites I've ever seen. And more people need to know about it. I think I read your comments, obviously. Whenever I cover, like, Rotten Tomatoes does corrupt thing, many of you are already in the know. So you're like, yeah, water is wet. I agree. I agree that I didn't expect anything less from them. But the thing is, the audience outside of here, that's why sharing the videos and telling people that Rotten Tomatoes is compromised, because they need to know this as well. And the critics just don't care. The critics who are in here, who get their, how would you say, their clout by reviewing movies on Rotten Tomatoes, they're not strong enough. They're not... They probably agree with it, although I don't know this for sure. But why is nobody calling this out? Why is nobody pointing this out? I haven't seen a single article calling out interference with Rotten Tomatoes. Why? Why is that? Then you look at back on New Year's Day or the day after New Year's Day, struggling Doctor Who attracts worst ratings under Jodie Whittaker as millions of fans snub the show on New Year's Day. Doctor Who bosses probably wish they could take the TARDIS back to a time when the show was still a guaranteed ratings hit. On New Year's Day, the struggling sci-fi series attracted its worst viewing figures under the new Time Lord Jodie Whittaker. Now, by the way, okay, for the record, I don't think that it's just Jodie Whittaker's fault. She's doing the best she can with the script that she's got. And, Am I a big fan of the female doctor? I guess I don't really care. I don't care about that. If it's good writing and you can write it in a way that feels natural, totally fine with it. I don't care. Now we all know why she's a female now, but ultimately, if the show is good, I think that the reviews would be solid. Now, if you look at a site like Rotten Tomatoes for reviews, I don't think that there is a huge number of people that review TV shows as an audience member, especially in season 12. So obviously you're going to get a disproportionate number of fans who just really dislike it that are the ones leaving the reviews. Is the show a 7%? No, but it's pretty hilarious to see. Wednesday, the show peaked at just over 5 million viewers. At one point, just fell to just 4.88 million. A TV insider says Beeb bosses were hoping the downturn in ratings towards the end of the last series was just the novelty of Jodie's arrival wearing off a bit. But the fact that the new season seems to have fared even worse will have them worrying whether it has less to do with who portrays the Time Lord and a signs of a greater problem with the show. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Look, you can have a female main character in a show and not have all these stupid woke storylines and then have your actors going off on Twitter and social media talking about, oh, yeah, we thought going back and portraying Harriet Tubman would be a great thing, that, our viewers needed to be reminded that, slavery was bad. Yeah, we all know, all right? Nobody needs to hear that from the BBC. After all, the debut episode aired on a day when many people were still off work and school, so it should have attracted a more substantial audience. However, another insider said the Doctor Who was the most watched show on the BBC One on New Year's Day, and the second most watched show on television after Emmerdale on ITV. The new season's adventure, Spyfall, a two-parter inspired by James Bond films, continues Sunday night. The series will now air on Sunday nights too. Spyfall stars Stephen Fry and MI6 Spy Master and blah, 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 blah. Well, it's interesting. In a sensational twist, Sacha Dhawan joins the cast of the Doctor's longtime nemesis as the Master. It marks the first time the Time Lord has been on screen since last New Year's Day when Jodie was seen battling the Daleks. The slump in viewers comes after the Beeb didn't bring the show back in 2019, failing to capitalize on the renewed interest in Doctor Who. I'm sure show bosses are regretting that now. I'm not sure that follows. Or maybe they're talking about ITV there. Nonetheless, it's pretty interesting to me to see, we look at this. Let's see if it even changes. No. We all know, heck, I bet you that just for funsies, I bet you we could look at, I'd be willing to bet that you're going to see Star Wars still at 86% user reviews. Now, first of all, I want to be clear and say I do support Rotten Tomatoes going to a verified user review, 100%. However, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker proved that that wasn't enough for them, that they were still going to manipulate the overwhelming score. It's still at 86% with 90,000 reviews. A statistical impossibility, all right? Let me put it that way. There is 0 effective percent chance that a film that started at 86% with less than a few hundred reviews is still at 86% at 90,500 reviews. You'd probably be more likely to win the lottery than to ever have that happen statistically. Now, the tomato meter still giving it a 53%, and I'm not sure we're ever really going to know what it is that the critics really hated more. I think that many of them reacted negatively to the wiping away of, so to speak, the Ryan Roundhead Johnson The Last Jedi stuff and too much fan service. But I refuse to believe that the audience score was an 86. It should probably be somewhere in the 70s. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do to this audience score. You can just look at some of them. That's it. I'm out. The show is no longer for me. Gosh, bad writing, bad acting, bad sets, bad costumes, bad music. What is the show masquerading as Doctor Who? I'm afraid this Doctor Who, it's not Doctor Who anymore. It's terrible now. The ideas are awful. The dialogue is a joke. And on top of that, we're getting more PC messages rammed down our throats. By the way, you're not seeing, where are all the woman? No woman should be the Doctor. These are all legitimate criticisms about the show in general. This is the worst Doctor Who series ever. The show is so stale and boring, I would rather watch an infomercial. Poor, in one word. Poor writing, poor acting, poor concept, poor interpretations of characters, poor filming. 1 star. These are all 1 stars. Here's one from Marianne. Not worth it. The show has lost its magic and has become preachy. Don't waste your time on it. The failure continues as they try to pander to fans by bringing back classic Who villains, and yet they have still failed on the greatest opportunity they had to breathe new life into the show. This direction is awful. 1 star. The 3rd episode simply drops subtlety that goes straight for a drops subtlety and goes straight for the sledgehammer, with the new episode literally ending with a 4th wall breaking monologue straight to the camera, chastising the audience. I couldn't care one whit for anyone on the cast, and the dangers were all predictable and manufactured. I've seen 10-year-olds write more nuanced and more subtle scripts than this. Sci-fi is supposed to be about taking current issues and settling them into a fantastic futuristic setting and making a point, not just setting it on, quote, spoiler and saying, it's all your fault. Way to turn a great show into drivel. I love it. I love seeing reviews that look like they're clearly written by longtime fans of the show, and I love seeing how none of these reviews are, I don't want a woman doctor, which is what all the media is going to write. And what happens is you get these bad reviews, right? Here's what I predict. By the end of the week, you're going to see this article. Doctor Who trolls review brigade Doctor Who, and they're all misogynists, and they all hate women, and they're all evil neckbeards in their basements. And then when you write that article, what happens? Guys like me cover it, other people who cover fandom news cover it, and then everyone mobilizes and sticks it to you with even more negative reviews. These types of reviews now that exist, I think, are from pure fans, because you're not seeing a lot of shill versus fan articles. But once they come out, and I'm sure they will, it's going to be interesting what Rotten Tomatoes does again as they continue to try to rewrite history. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.